The distance from Beijing to Ili is almost 3,500 kilometers. Nowadays, we can go there by plane in 7 hours. But sometimes, I wonder, how did the people go and come between Ili and Beijing 100 years ago? Until 7 days ago, I knew a book, and finally, I knew how they have this journey. First of all, where is Ili? The region is almost in the center of Asia, so it results in this region being one of the most distant from the sea. Then, Ili is also a region on the border between China and Kazakhstan. So this region is in the far west of China nowadays. But Beijing is a typical city in the east of China. Plus, Ili has an Ili River, so it is not a desert. But when go out of Ili, most of the regions between Beijing and Ili are desert and mountains, so this should be very hard trip if we go by land, especially 100 years ago. Now, let's talk about this book. Who must have had this hard and very long journey? This man is Konglo, Guanglu, who was a Shiva scholar, a consul, and a Manchu language professor. Because he was born in a Shiva family in Ili, he was a native speaker of the Shiva language, and at the same time, the Shiva language and the Manchu language are very similar. Basically, the speakers of both languages can understand each other. So this is the reason why he could be a professor and a scholar in Manchu language. This book is his memoirs. In this book, we can learn that he went to Beijing for university, and his university life in Beijing was 6 years long. Then, he came back home from Beijing. So this book showed us 2 routes from Ili to Beijing and from Beijing to Ili. Route 1 is from Ili to Beijing. In fact, this was a hard way because the railway didn't start to build in Xinjiang 100 years ago. So he should have to take carriages mostly, or maybe he could take some cars in the big cities. That route actually overlapped with the route of the Silk Road. This route was hard to go, and meanwhile it was dangerous because in the years there were always armed gangs who were waiting for the travelers and robbing them in the Red Pass. Guanglu also met such a group of robbers, but fortunately they didn't get hurt and didn't decide to rob him. His destination was Guanyin Tang Station in Henan. When he arrived there, the most difficult and dangerous part of this trip had just passed because he could finally take the trains. The rest of the trip was just a common railway trip. So finally, he spent almost 3 months getting to Beijing from Ili. In addition, for me, Guanyin Tang is a very strange place name. So in order to figure out where it is, I downloaded an old railway map in 1935, which is called Lanzhou Lianyun Gang Railway and Longhai Tielu in Chinese. I found that the building of the railway started from 1905 and didn't stop extending. The years that Guanglu went to Beijing, the last station was Guanyintang, but in 1935, the last station was in Xi'an, and there were 28 extra stations. Since the first route was hard to go, he decided to make some changes and came back via northeast China by train. Plus, northeast China also was his ancestors' homeland, so this should also be a home trip at the same time. Firstly, he took a train in Beijing and went to Mukden, also known as Shenyang today. Then, he changed to another train to go to Harbin. In Harbin, he changed to the third train, which was an international train of Russia, and went to Manzhouli city. He would enter Russia after leaving this city. When the international train restarted, they would move into the Trans-Siberian Railway and go through some stations. Finally, he arrived at his station, Tacheng Prefecture. So at this moment, he could enter China again. Now, he had been in a very close place to Ili, whose home. Then he went to Ili through Wusu city by car or probably by carriage. Although the author simply didn't tell us how long Guanglu spent on the back trip. We can find that the second trip should be safer, easier, and quicker to go. So this is today's video, and thank you for watching. Hope you can like this video. Have a good day. See you next time.